Hey there. This is just a short little oldie but a goodie about memory, right? And so I don't experience being what you are. I experience being what I am, which is what love is. It goes on forever because I'm an eternal energy lover giver. Okay. But what I've noticed over time, because I monitor myself between as above, so below, and what we call loss of memory. And they used to say, hey, loss of memory, because when I was a child growing up, I had what do you call total recall holographic recordings. In other words, I could pull it all up. But I also realized I had access to basically any information that I need that's going to be provided to me through the light, which is what love is, goes on forever, gifting electrons. So I naturally learn what I'm supposed to learn, or what I become aware of at the time that I learn it, and thus become aware of it. Why I become aware of it at the time that I become aware of it, where I'm at when I become aware of it, and why location might be important, given waves that are running simultaneously, right? To simulation after simulation after simulation, which represents different operating systems here that are all operating themselves, right? Running computers that are communicating with each other, running library systems, since we're all connected, right? So remember, when I was a child, I'm measuring one thing. How much love is there on this planet? Because that's what the law is. That's called a scalar measurement. So the one can make a scalar measurement. That's easy to do because it began with a one, right? So now what I notice, it depends on where I'm at. Like when I've been on this island, not the last time, but the time before that, I was on fire. I wasn't experiencing any of the past at all. It's like, man, I'm on fire. I'm giving energy away like crazy. Let's go do this, do this. So what happens is I'm not remembering the past. It's impossible to remember the past, and there isn't a future. You're only experiencing right now, right now, right now, right now, right now. You're not experiencing any time, which means you're not logging anything or recording anything in any memory. You've already forgotten it. It's gone. Yeah. There isn't any need to remember it. And the reason there isn't any reason to remember it because it's been burned up. Okay. Wow. It simply means that the frame rate speed is running at with no time delay, which means it's not being recorded. Now you're into the torque speed differential and why colors are important. With frequencies, you're running a cosmic level antenna, which is what I call open source. That's why, what's his name, Robert David Seale, when he talked about open source information. So even though he worked with the CIA, right, he was very correct on things that I experienced, that I learned from through experience, being what that is. In other words, experiencing what I am experiencing, which means I wouldn't have the ability to experience it if I wasn't experiencing it. So I can translate my experience to how others translate through their communications. Well, what they become aware of, they transfer and thus communicate to us. So a couple of words he used was called open source. That means that if I am what love is, it goes on forever, which is eternity, which is the purest energy there is because the fire is what purifies it, then you're naturally not in fear of giving anything away that somebody else might use as a weapon against you, because that's not how it works. That energy is naturally protecting itself, which is the shield from which it was born into, that naturally protects it, which means there isn't anything that's eating away at its energy. That's non-entropic. That's called what Daniel Winter called negtropity, negative entropy. There isn't any entropy. You're experiencing eternal energy. That's what it means to be one. That means you've given up all power in order to be the most powerful. Now you're not an inverter, you're a converter. Now you're converting things into other things besides that, into other things besides that. Now you're running the creation engine on fire, eternal fire. And so you see that in nature, right? You see that all around us of what's possible to experience. So if you want to translate it as mathematical language, which is musical language and spirit, yeah. You're experiencing the spirit in you, which is the dance, which is the movement of the waves that we're experiencing that are in harmony. Wow, man, that's a high-level mathematician. Well, of course. The math takes care of itself. That means that the universe is taking care of itself as it's creating itself. More of what it becomes aware of that is different from the last. So nobody's feeling bored and all of a sudden they slow down because they're stopping to think about what they want to do next. Now you're running on memory, which is a timeline. And that's the torque speed differential between a library and no library or no memory. It's not required. You're running too hot, which means you're running too fast in order to store what's held in RAM. That's why when you have, as a monopole, I have plus and minus, right? Or minus plus, the addition side, the subtraction side, right? Between one and the other, okay? Between negative and positive magnetic polarities. So when you're joined, right, become one as three, there's no time. You're a single pole. That's the point of origin. The single point of origin on the spiral crystal, tetrahedron. Let's go, brothers and sisters. We're going to go create a universe together. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And everything is going right along with the program, programmable matter. So the map naturally follows because the consciousness is in balance. So that means that the consciousness, which is the creative engine, knows how to naturally balance the elements, which are the program codes, which are the instruction sets that represent what we see in our mirror. Right? So you know there's a built-in mathematician with highly intelligent energy. It's creative. So I know from experience that the hottest creative energy is what drives the highest intelligence. So that's where we get our information, what we know. It's because we have a relationship with eternity. So when we're on that pathway, experiencing eternity, being with the one, then the one is informing us, which is our Father, which is the breath of Holy Spirit into the Mother Goddess to become one. We're getting our information from. So our parents are informing us. See, do you not think that your parents, my parents, would not want what is to be able to see us become something that ended up becoming more of what they were? That's like their dream. We become their dream. Right? And then we have children and then they become our dream of what's possible. See? So now you're into dreamland. Wow. And you're fully conscious and aware, which means there isn't any unconscious, which is RAM, which is a slower speed, which means your consciousness energy is pure. That's creation mode. Conscious creative minds, conscious creative mode, conscious creative intelligence, conscious creative imagination on fire. And that's the most powerful locomotive. Logos motion.